The COVID-19 lockdown has come and it has gone, and a lot of ideas have emerged. The new ideas have come up and old ideas have been diminished, and a lot of things have happened that has put us as Nigerians and the world in a different level of thinking. That is what we'll be discussing today. We'll be discussing maximizing post-COVID opportunities. My name is Joshua Salami, and I'll be your host for today. And I'll be discussing with a very brilliant mind, Mr. Ayo Folayemi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Joshua. It's good to be here with you. And good morning, everyone watching from anywhere in the world.
Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome. Yes, Mr. Ayo Folayemi is a pastor and also the CEO, Swift Think Limited. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, sir, post-COVID-19, there's a lot of ideas that have come, and there's a school of thought that this is a very new thing to everybody. So can you affirm or debunk that?
Well, Joshua, the pandemic, as it were, is not new all over the world. There's been several cycles of global pandemic, as it were, that has shaken and also reshaped the world. But the coronavirus is called novel because it is new. I mean, nobody has ever experienced anything like it before. And so, yes, it is new to the world. It shaped and shaked every part of the world. But the truth of the matter is that it also brought about new things that emanated as to how human beings thrive and how we react and adapt to the realities around us as human beings. Truth is, every human being is adaptive in nature. That's how God created us, to react and adapt to changes in our environment, depending on what part of ourselves we choose to put to face that challenge we face ourselves with. Yeah.
So, sir, these changes that you're talking about and these adaptations that we have had to make, what are some of these adjustments that you think? Before we go there, how do you think it has affected the human mind, the COVID? How do you think that's affected our mind? So after it now, how do you think we are operating?
Okay, so I think very strongly that one of the biggest challenges that happens during any pandemic or even any economic crisis that affects the world is that the impact of the fear or the panic is always much more than the impact of the pandemic itself. And that's because human beings are people who thrive on news. Now, when you hear an information, how do you process that information? Do you take it hook, line, and sinker and just begin to run? I mean, it's just like we've all seen that example where someone just, and even I'm sure it happens to some of us, where we don't wait to find out what exactly is happening. You see some people running across you, and the next thing that happens is, what's happening? Just run. And so what happens is everybody starts to run. They're not even asking, why are we running? What are we running from? Where are we running to? And so I think that sort of herd mentality, or I would call it bandwagon mentality, is what has affected the world much more than the impact of the pandemic itself. So I think the human mind has to, every person that is on this session has to think very clearly and just pause for a bit and ask themselves, why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I reacting based on what I think it is, or am I acting based on what I know it is? Because sometimes the people that succeed and those that fail, the difference is their response to specific stimuli, whether internal or external. The response is what determines whether or not you succeed or you fail. So the point is, how are we responding to this current position we find ourselves? Are we responding because we feel somebody says, run. Let's just run. Everybody run. We don't know what's happening. Just run. And that has, for one, characterize or pretty much dictates more than 90% of the human beings in the world today. We are reacting because they said we should react.
Yes, sir. Speaking of running, a lot of running has happened in the different sectors of the economy. And you understand what I mean by running,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Like a lot of running has happened, a lot of upsets and resets. And now, speaking on reset, what are some of those resets you think has happened post-COVID?
Okay, so first thing first, when there is any crisis, whether economic, health, or socio-economic or cultural crisis, what happens is that new opportunities arise. New vistas are opened. New businesses are created. new markets are also created, because one thing that happens is that more needs or new needs arise.
Yeah.
So this is not any different from that. The global pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, has opened up new opportunities all around the world. New businesses, new ways as to how we do things, new ways as to how we do the things we've always done, and even new things entirely have opened up. Now, where I always tell people to do is, can you just backtrack a little bit and not be so quick to do things? Can you just check through the things you do? I have a very classic example in Nigeria today. I would not mention the name. It used to be a beverage making company. They make your soft drinks, right? Yeah. That you always love to drink. And when the crisis happened, they had a choice. The choice was, do we shut down our business, or do we try to explore opportunities that are available within our space based on what the need in the market is? And what did they do? What is the biggest need around town? It is for us to have the sanitizers, right? And so the same machineries, the same systems they've always had went into producing sanitizers, and they're making tons and tons of funds off of that.
Okay, so so those are the new ideas, or that is an example of one of the new ideas that came forth. So also, can you just give us another example of a nostalgic idea that, you know, went melted away or was diminished post-COVID?
Okay, so a very first, I wouldn't say melted away, people reinvented how it works.
Okay.
Is the event industry. Now, before the advent of COVID-19, who would have imagined that a person who is the performer will be in a room playing music, and the people who need to enjoy the music are in another room dancing to that same music? Yeah. It would have felt like it was never possible. But what happened with the COVID-19 was that people had to explore opportunities of playing in a room and some other people enjoying that music in another room because of the COVID-19. And that has become, because one thing is very central in all of this, and I will tell you very simply, is the leveraging on technology. Okay. Technology by itself is just a means to an end. Okay. It's like what you call, the amoeba. The amoeba takes the form or shape of whatever it finds itself, right? So it can change its shape. It can, they call it formless, but it's not formless. It adapts to whatever it is you bring it into. So that's why you hear them say edutech, or agri-tech, or health tech.
Wow.
Or, so it's always a blend. So you need to now look at it. What exactly am I doing today that technology plays a pivotal role in actualizing and achieving the very best out of it? Because technology is a leverage. It's an enhancer of the things that we do. We are here having a session, and it's being watched in maybe 190 countries of the world. That is leveraging on technology. This is preaching tech.
Okay,
you can call it that.
Let me cut it there. Okay. Now, the world has moved forward, and we've been judging from the level or the quality of education that our youths, because the youths are watching, our youths, judging on the quality of education they have received over the years, bringing us to 2020 with the rise of the COVID-19 and the lockdown. Will you say the youths have been prepared? Have they been prepared physically, educationally, mentally, emotionally for this lockdown and post-COVID-19?
So do you want a sentimental response to this, or you want a real response to this?
Yes, sir. I want a real response.
Okay, so I would say that most youth are not ready. We're not ready for what is even yet to come. And that is because we forget that globally we are so many. So many of us are supposed to be producers. Yeah. But we have subtly subjected ourselves to the realm of being consumers. Oh, and wow. That's all we do. We are consumers. I'll give an instance. There is a show that just ended in Nigeria a few days back.
Okay.
That show made over 400% of what they spent on the show. In fact, what am I talking about? So they spent about 4 billion. They made 23 billion naira.
Wow.
Why? Because average people, and there's a demographics, there's statistics to support. Yeah. The average age of people that watched that show was 19 to 22 years old. The average age. So it tells you that we have condition ourselves to becoming consumers than producers. Now, people who understand the psyche of consumers make the money. And the fact is, consumers will always remain the majority. So do you want to be in the majority, or you want to be in the minority of those who are producers? So what side of history do you want to play? As the producers or the consumers? So the youth of today, I would say expressly, have become very, very docile. We don't read, we don't write, we don't study, we don't research. All we want to do is just sit and be entertained, sit and be fed, sit and be told what to do. And so once that is the category you fall into, trust me, you would always be the one we will sell to. And I say we because I love to sell to those kind of people who just love to be told what to do. But I'm trusting that those of you who are watching this program, wherever you are in the world, you are going to shift grounds today from being the consumers to being part of those of us who are the producers.
So, sir, let's say you're speaking to me right now concerning what you just said. Let's say that you say, using myself as a case study. So, what do you think I have to put in place to be ready? Okay, because I would say it's already getting too late, but then it's never too late. So, what do you say I have to put in place to get ready or be ready to move into the sphere of a producer, especially, and take as much as I can from these post-COVID-19 opportunities?
Okay, thank you very much, Joshua. First thing first is, can you first identify what innate abilities you have?
Okay.
There are things within you that makes you stand out. Now, it doesn't mean that there are not other people that do those things, but it's just something that is special to you. Now, when you identify that thing that you have that others don't have, it becomes for you a leverage, right? Okay. Which is what happens when you go for a negotiation. What they ask for is, what is your leverage, right? So that's the first thing. What is that innate ability you have? You don't have an innate ability. You can learn that ability. You can build those skills.
Yeah.
In the future we are going into, it is a future that is driven by skills, not only by what you know. It's what you can do with what you know. Because a person who is selling knowledge today makes a lot of money. Because others can either buy that knowledge and do nothing with it. He has already made money. And others can buy that knowledge and do something with that knowledge, and they become a secondary producer of that knowledge. So the first thing first is you must know, what do I have? What do I have on my hand? We are getting into a knowledge-driven economy. The fourth industrial revolution, AI, machine learning, is a knowledge-driven economy. So we must stop being those people that don't know what is happening. And I tell people, before you can know what is ahead of you, you must know what has happened in the past. The world is revolving in cycles. So really, there is nothing new. Everything is coming back in cycles. There was a time when Afro was not in vogue, where you have to go all skull. It's coming back into vogue. You want to keep your beards now? Why? It's coming back into vogue. It just tells you that the world continues to revolve around its orbit. So it means that things that we are doing are only being reinvented. They are only being improved upon. And that's why we call them innovation. Because it's an improvement on what is already existing. It is not new. It is a building upon what has already been before now. So you must look at it. What is that thing that is happening around me? And then can we be more sensitive to our environment?
Yeah.
Things are happening in Nigeria. Oh, I want to be a global player. Yes, it's all right. It's good to dream big. But can you start it small?
Okay.
You want to dream big. You want to build castles in the air. You want to be the next Jeff Bezos. It's great. But can you start from the space you are in? There is that local market around you that has a major need.
Wow.
That all you need to do is to solve the problem in that market, and then you can scale. There is that school next to you that has a big challenge with their waste disposal. Can you start with that, and then you can then scale? What does that do to you? It helps you to fail small, and then you fail forward. And then you can begin to scale from there. Yes, now, once you understand what you have as innate ability, you look at your environment, then you must learn to build systems of collaborations.
Wow.
One of the things that I've enjoyed the most in the last 1 year has been relationships I have built that are very I would say symbiotic. They are collaborative in nature.
As per work, right?
As per work. Even relationship, as per friendships. So I ask questions. I say, oh, this thing I'm trying to do, what do you think about it? I have a lawyer I can talk to. And he says to me, this is the impact of what you would do if you don't do your proper due diligence. And I can pull back and go forward. Imagine I don't have a lawyer. to guide me on that, I would have made a big mess. In the same way, that thing I have that is not yet fully formed can become a product I can sell to someone else. And that person will take that almost not fully formed product and becomes something bigger. Why? Because I understand the power of building systems. Number 4, delayed gratification. People talk about this thing as a cliche, but it is not a cliche. You must learn to starve your now. People make small money and they want to carry the Birkin's bag and wear the Gucci by Gucci and wear the Balenciaga, like they call it. You remember this Balenciaga? And they want to do all of that. But you forget that what you're doing is you're eating the seed. No matter how much money you've made today, it is still a seed. Jeff Bezos, if he had consumed everything he had, he would not have the money to scale very fast when the crisis came. But he understood that I need to build systems that help me to grow at an astronomical rate because I've built systems for myself.
Well, thank you very much, sir. See, youths out there, if you are listening to this, man, this is loaded. And if your friends are doing something else, you have to call them to sit with you right now. These are nuggets that you need to live. And I assure you, by the end of the session, a lot of ideas would have come to you. So, sir, okay, let's drift a little. This is a very powerful session, I must say, and I'm learning a lot myself, a lot. So, okay, in the rise of the lockdown, the COVID-19 lockdown, we saw a lot of people going into their homes and working from home.
Yes.
And even up to now, there are some companies who haven't fully opened, and some of them are still doing that, still working from home. So, we do say that that can hinder our, innovative ability, that community of innovativeness that happens when we come together. That working from home, does it hinder it?
Well, Joshua, working from home is let me tell you the truth. As Africans and humans generally, we are interactive beings.
Yeah.
There are always touch points. But take it or leave it, technology has come to stay. Working from home has come to stay. So we need to start adapting as to how to create our touch points while still working from home.
Wow.
So it would not stop our interactiveness. There is Slack. There is Trello. There are other collaborative platforms that people use to engage regularly that would help to ensure that your working from home still remains almost as interactive as it would have been if you were in your office. However, we know that in Africa, we still have a huge challenge with the internet. So the internet penetration is still very low. However, we cannot rule out that fact in the reality of where we find ourselves as Africans. But it does not change the fact that the working from home has come to stay. We will not stop working from home. We will not stop doing things from home. We just need to build discipline amongst ourselves to maximize the space we have ourselves in at the moment to bring out the very best in ourselves. I haven't gone to my office in months, but I have still been very effective and working, despite the fact that it was a struggle at the beginning. And that is what happens to every human being. When we want to start a new thing, we always struggle. We try to adapt. We want to see what works, what doesn't work. But you must know that the world is not waiting for you. I will say that again. Whether or not you adapt or not, the world is not waiting for you. It keeps on moving, it keeps on advancing, it keeps on progressing, and all you might end up having to do is to play catch up. So do you want to play catch up, or do you want to be the one to be caught up with? The choice is yours.
Okay, sir. I will love to ask this right now. Working from home and everything you have said prior to now, the new ideas that have been that have emerged. So will you say working from home has created any of those ideas? And if it has, what kind of ideas has working from home created? So for those people who still are home right now watching and they feel, I'm at home, there's really not much I can do. So what ideas are available for them, to put into practice and generate revenue?
Okay, so you're working from home, you have your phone. So your phone is not meant for gossips. Your phone is not meant for chit chat. Yes, that's good to catch up with friends, but you hold in your hand a very powerful tool that can be used to transform your life.
Wow.
So first thing first, understand exactly how that phone can apply to what you do. You are into buying and selling. Technology has made it so easy that you can build your website yourself, right? With so many apps that are online. Just Google website design apps. You can actually just place your images here and there and you have your website ready, right? Good thing is that the payment platforms now have options for individual aside from corporate. So with your own account, without having to own a company, you can actually start selling and collecting money from people. So your mobile phone can become your mobile shop.
Okay.
Now, I have some people around me who I see lay their clothes on the table and take a picture and dress it up, and they put it up online and people are buying.
Yeah.
People are paying for that. And that same person, that mobile phone before then was just a tool for catching up.
Sure.
There is also what is called phone photography. You can start snapping portraitures. Get onto Shutterstock, get onto Canva, get onto those platforms and put up your pictures for sale. And people will pay for these things. And the funniest part is the internet has so much democratized sales, because the market online is becoming bigger and bigger because of the COVID-19. More people are indoors than they were outdoors. Like I said to you, companies that are into advertising, for instance, outdoor advertising companies, are innovating. And they're going into digital advertising because they know now that more people are on their mobile phones and in front of their boxes, their TVs, than they were on the streets. So, but the same things they used to have, the same personnel, the same technologies are being adapted. So you must be very quick to adjusting to the realities around you. So working from home, it helps you to do so much more. Now, here's one part of it that I want to just quickly drop.
Okay, sir.
When you're working from home, it gives you the privilege of being able to handle multiple things if you understand the appropriation of time. So it means that I can work from Nigeria and render services to somebody in China, but I will sleep when Nigerians are awake. Right?
Yeah.
In the same vein, I can actually plan myself to sleep when there is more time in the afternoon, and I render work for Nigerians in the morning and render work for Chinese at night.
Nice.
It is just a case of the discipline of appropriation of time. And how would that happen? Can you do a time audit for yourself? If we are honest with ourselves, young people, we waste time, not invest time. If you even spend, it means that you're getting something in return, right? When I say I spent time, it means that I spent it and I got something in return.
Yeah.
When I'm investing time, I don't get an immediate response. I'm just putting it as a bankable income. So I'm investing time. So when somebody says you are spending time, it's not a waste. Let's correct that notion. Spending time means I'm using it as a currency in exchange for something. Investing time means I'm putting it in, expecting a future return from that. But when you waste time, it means that there is nothing you're getting back in return for that. It is time forgone. Wow. But that is where the chunk of the youth sit into. We sit in that space of wasting time. Sit back and analyze your day. What do I use my 24 hours to do? The chunk of us, because of COVID-19, we now sleep for 12 hours.
Okay.
Check it.
Okay.
Check it. We sleep 12 hours, the remaining 12 hours. We spend 6 hours of that 12 hours for social media.
Wow.
Remaining 6 hours, that 6 hours we will eat and do a few other things. And maybe we have only 1 hour of productive time in a day. That is a sheer waste of human life.
Yeah, 1 hour of productive time, and I still believe that a lot of youths didn't have that 1 hour of productive time. So I still believe that. Okay, sir, I can hear somebody right now telling his friend, okay, and these guys don't even understand though. Where we're going to see money to start any of these things that they are talking about. You get, so in other words, I'm trying to say, there has never been money available.
There will never be money available.
You get, so now how that brother listening right now, how does he generate that revenue that he needs to start that new idea that he has just picked up from this conversation?
Okay, thank you very much, Joshua. There is something called the incremental process of growth. Okay. The incremental process of growth. So there's an incremental process of growth of wealth. There's an incremental process of growth of belly fat. There's an incremental process of growth of whatever it is, bulky chest and 6 packs.
Yes, sir.
There was a process called an incremental process of growth. If I make 1 naira today, and I choose to spend that 1 naira just to get pleasure, I have lost that money at that time.
It's gone.
So what you must learn is to start small and grow over time. That one thing you have goes through the process of compounding if you understand how to make use of it. I will give an example. I started my business in 2009 from my parlor. All I had to invest on was my computer and a desk phone. When you call my parlor, listen to me, when you call my parlor, I will pick up my phone. Good morning, this is Swift Think Limited. How may I be of help to you? I might be in my boxers and my singlets. You don't know that. But I had a 01 number. So when you want to call that number, you know, I still know it by heart, right? I still know that number by heart. So when you call that number, you think you are calling an office, but yes, you're calling my parlor. So I knew that process, and I grew through that process to having tens of workforce working for us, to having tens and hundreds of clients we were responsible for. But all of that happened over time. And I did not start that with ₦1 million. I didn't even start with 100,000 naira.
Wow.
It was growth over time. So you have that money to buy your... See, guys, let's be real with ourselves. I don't use an iPhone 10. Oh, guys, I'm being honest about this. I don't use an iPhone X or iPhone whatever Max. Not because I cannot afford it, but at the time I look at the opportunity cost, I ask myself, what better use can I put these funds into than buy myself a 450,000 naira phone when I cannot afford 4,500 naira for a meal?
Wow.
That's misplaced priorities.
Nice.
There are many guys now who have no job but carry a person's annual salary on their hand as mobile phones. Yes. They have no job, but they drive the car that a business exec is driving. You are only deceiving yourself. That car is your seed capital. Go and sell it.
Sell it.
Uber will take you to your meeting point. You will not die. It's a matter of time. That same you that has sold that car to start that business will be the one to buy a fleet of cars in a few years. All you have to do is to stay at it, and you continue to become the very best at what you're doing.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a wonderful one. See, like I said earlier, if you look, as in, well, I trust that over time, as the program goes on, a lot of captions from this meeting will be posted out there, and people will see it, and also with the links to go back and watch it, because this is something that even myself, I will want to go back to. This is very powerful, very, very powerful. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, let's get a little bit practicable. You know, what you're saying, I am getting it. I know a lot of people are getting it too. But then I want to come a little bit practicable, you know. Now, let's say I'm a student, 300 or 400 level student who has been put on hold from graduating because of the lockdown, and the schools have not yet opened up. And then I am hearing this right now, and I'm feeling, okay, I should do something. Okay, I have not graduated. I do not have a certificate to, you know, build a resume with yet. And so I probably have some talents and skills with me that I have not really, you know, put to use. So I am that student. I want to start something. And bulk of what you're saying right now is maximizing the use of the internet and technology. So how do I start?
Okay, Joshua. Let me ask that youth watching me right now. You are watching me means that you have data.
Good.
So the same way you're watching me right now, you have data. It means that you can also take a course right now.
Yeah.
In the last few months, you've probably been using that same data to just play around. But if you check online, there are tons and tons of free resources available to meet those needs.
Wow.
Tons and tons of them. Schools abroad offering free resources. Schools in Nigeria offering free resources. If you had sat back for 6 months, you probably would have been certified in something by now.
That's true.
With that same data. That's number one. Yeah. Number two, there are platforms online that are collaborative spaces where people request for services. So there is something you can do. You can write. Maybe you can sing. Maybe you have a great voice for voiceover. Maybe you know how to plant or harvest. Maybe you are a good salesperson. Maybe you know how to make fantastic presentations. Maybe you can be a great graphic designer. Maybe you can write fantastic codes. Maybe, just about maybe. Have you found yourself in the right community where things are happening, or you are still speaking to the wrong people? Like I would say it, are you winking in the dark? Wow. When you're winking in the dark, nobody knows you're winking. It's like saying that I'm going to fish and I'm going in the Dead Sea. Wow. The Dead Sea has no fish, right? So in the same vein, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm on the wrong platform, no matter what I'm doing, I can't get it right. I'll say that again. If I'm on the wrong platform, no matter how great I am, I can't get it right. Because the people that need my services are not where I am currently existing. So can you just do a little bit of backtracking and reorder your steps? Let the Holy Spirit lead you to where the right people are gathered. And what should you do by that? Sit on the internet and do a proper search. Use your search engines the way they should be used, and find out where the people that need your services gather. Yeah. Just like we have physical gatherings, there are virtual gatherings where people meet. They are, for those who are programmers, they go on GitHub. Wow. That's where they meet. If you call yourself a website designer or a software engineer, you're not on GitHub, then you are nowhere. That's where they meet. That's where they interact. That's where they share these conversations. The same way you have for bloggers, same way you have for freelance authors, same way you have for ghostwriters, same way you have for voiceover artists. There are platforms where they gather. So you must be where they are. So the post-COVID opportunities are you knowing where the right audience for your services gather. Where the people that will consume what you have to offer gather.
Yes, sir.
Where the people that would use your services gather. And when you get there, please guys, don't sell yourself short. Shoot your shot. And never look at it that, I'm not sure whether I'm up to it. That is an imposter syndrome that makes you feel like you're not up to the task. There are people out there who have less knowledge than you do, but are making tons of money more than you are doing because they shoot their shot. Can you begin to shoot your own shot in the right places where those that matter will pay you proper and premium dollars? Am I speaking to someone this morning?
Sorry, you're speaking. This is interesting. Oh my God, this is really, really interesting. Okay, I'm just going to let I'm going to say some few things that happened behind the scenes before we started. Okay, we had a discussion. He is, like I said earlier, the CEO of SwiftThink Limited, and as the name implies, SwiftThink, and I think you have been seeing much of SwiftThinking since we started discussing. Okay, you are here, you're a pastor and also the CEO, like I said, and you have been talking based on the spirit and also as per work, So I think we're going to leverage on the work aspect a little bit, and sorry that we are not paying consultancy.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Okay, now I should ask. Now we've talked about IT and the rest of them. Now let's say there is this group of dancers watching right now. All they do is dance. Okay, and now what will you tell them as per we are home, no shows right now, the churches are not yet meeting as much, so nobody wants to call us to dance for them. So what do they do? What do they do?
Okay, so I put out something on Twitter a few days back.
Sorry, 1 minute.
And I said to them, there are times when God would hide you from the limelight, so because He doesn't want you to be blinded.
Okay.
This period that you have, we're not going for shows, is a time to hone your skills. Okay. Can you be better in your dances? Can you put out more content to have people know that you are a dancer? So can you maximize this period to just hone your skills, develop yourself, and also make use of the platforms to put out your materials so that when the market opens, there is something called top of mind awareness. When people want to think of a dancer, who comes to their mind first? Is it you? So can you put yourself out there so that people know? And please don't put yourself out there in a way that is shabby. Like people will say, the way you want to be addressed, you should dress that way. In the same way, you want to, the amount of money you want to be presented, present yourself as such, so that people can respect what you have to offer when the time comes.
Thank you very much, sir. You see what I'm doing? I have actually been blessed, and I know very well that everybody watching out there, you have been blessed, and you have been, gotten some really good teachings and educational learnings that you haven't gotten in the last 8 months or even 6 months. So please go back. I will advise, go back and watch again and again. Call your friends that haven't watched it, send them the link and let them watch and listen and get the insight that you have gotten today. Thank you, Mr. Folayemi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you
for such a wonderful time.
Thank you.
God bless you, sir.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joshua.
We are putting a wrap on this discussion session. Yes, we're talking post-COVID and maximizing post-COVID opportunities. Thanks for joining us. We'll be moving to other programs in this convention. Stay tuned and